Welcome to the Promo Playbook by Cubic Promote. Today we're going to do a podcast that is something a little bit different. We're going to be just talking about things that we stopped doing as a group and as an individual, myself personally, once our business got a little bit big. I'm not going to pretend Cubic Promote is one of the largest suppliers of promotional products and uniforms in Australia. And they reached a point a couple of years ago where we felt that we had to stop doing certain activities in order for us to grow, but not just grow, but also grow sustainably in a way that doesn't impact a customer's experience with ourselves. I believe some of the experiences that I've learned over the years can be applied to any given industry for any given company as well. So without further ado, I'll be covering what we stopped doing marketing-wise, what we stopped doing for our staff, what we stopped doing for clients, and what I personally stopped doing for myself in order for us to achieve sustainable growth. Let's start with marketing and the type of things that we stopped doing marketing-wise. I'm going to just simply list them out. The type of things that we stopped doing marketing-wise was we stopped doing flash discounts that last a day, a week, or in some instances even months on end. From experience, we found that flash discounting didn't really move the needle. Customers certainly didn't buy into it. And over the long term, we found that it hurt our revenue sales more than anything else. So instead, we focused on lowering the prices sustainably across our entire range, across the entire year. So no more flash discounts. We also focused or stopped focusing on buying client call lists and email lists. We've purchased previously a client call list and email list. We're a B2B company and we purchased other business addresses, and we found those lists to be a combination of out of date, irrelevant, and when in the instances they were in date and when they were relevant, reaching out to customers at such scale yielded very, very little positive feedback and certainly very little sales. The amount of time spent on it wasn't worth the while. Admittedly, the cost involved in doing that was very low. So from a cost perspective, it didn't really hurt us as much. However, from a client relationship and a time spent, it certainly wasn't worth the amount of time we were spending on it. Trade shows at the wrong events. Trade shows that we were doing at events where we knew they were irrelevant, trade shows that we knew that where we had strong competition. For example, in a recent B2B expo here in Darling Harbour in Sydney, Australia, there was a B2B expo. We decided not to go to those expos because we knew that spending all that time and all that effort and all that money in order for our potential clients' attention span to be halved in the case of a competitor, or in some cases down to a fraction, simply wasn't worth our while. What we have done instead was to pick niches, specific niches where we knew that we had a lot to offer and where we could generate a lot of interest. And those niches have proven to be really, really good. So some of the other things that we stopped marketing-wise was this. We stopped posting on Tumblr, Pinterest, LinkedIn paid marketing. We stopped doing that. Our LinkedIn paid marketing might be a little bit controversial. However, we did stop that because the cost per acquisition was incredibly high. Most businesses that are B2B businesses like ourselves will have probably found the same experience. We've also stopped advertising when there were spikes in Google demand. Our product and the merchandise that we supply has a seasonality aspect to it. So we stopped advertising on Google whenever there was a seasonal spike because the cost per acquisition, once again per customer, was far too high. From a social media point of view, there's one thing that we stopped doing as well. Company announcements, we stopped doing that. And what I'm talking about is company announcements in relation to new hires. Potentially we may have onboarded new clients, even new products. Unless those products were really genuinely interesting and groundbreaking, we stopped doing all of those because every minute time saved means that we could divert our attention to somewhere else. And we found that those announcements that we thought would have meant a lot to our customers, in reality meant nothing to our customers. So that's one thing that we decided to cut away from. Let's talk about staffing and what we did staffing-wise and what we stopped doing staffing-wise. So staffing-wise, we stopped hiring team members based on their potential. In the past, we would have hired team members based on what they potentially might morph into, maybe after a bit of training, perhaps after a bit of hand-holding, perhaps after maybe a couple months of experience, that we felt that that team member would have done really well. Well, we stopped doing that. And instead, we've only onboarded team members that are ready to go, shoelaces tied, ready to start immediately. We found that that really moved the needle to ensure that our customers have top-notch customer experiences off the bat. Another thing we stopped doing with team members is we stopped putting the onus on needing to be the jack of all trades for all team members. In the past, we expected team members to know about IT, to know about cleaning up their emails, to know about connecting a printer to their laptop, to know about speaking to customers, to know about product, to know about everything when it comes to logistics. So we stopped doing that and we focusing on team members' skill sets. If a team member is really, really good and comfortable in front of the camera, yeah, we'll do more social media work with that team member. If a team member was better at talking to customers, for example, we'll allocate more work for customer service for that particular team member. So we stopped relying on team members to be a jack of all trades. There were some roles that certainly had to be changed. There were some roles where certainly team members had to upskill. And that was one thing that we stopped doing. In the past, we had limited upskilling of our team members, and that had to change. And so we started upskilling our team members in specific areas that would enhance customer service. Unfortunately, in some instances, we have had to let staff go as well because the roles that were original in place when they first started with us when we were a smaller business simply could not be carried over when the business got larger. And so in some instances, we have had to let people go in order for us to grow in a sustainable way. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about clients now. So this is number 3. What have we just stopped doing for clients? We stopped doing 2 things. Number 1, we stopped over-promising. There was a point where when we were in the growth stage where we needed to over-promise in order to win the trust of customers. Now that worked very, very well. I'm not going to pretend it did not work. We're able to utilize that and grow at a very, very strong position. We stopped doing that simply because over-promising meant under-delivering, and that affected our long-term brand reputation. So for many years now, we have stopped over-promising. In fact, we have a policy in here to under-promise and to over-deliver. We found in the long run, that made a very, very big difference. What else have we stopped? The second thing that we stopped is we stopped saying yes to everything. There are certain product ranges in our range that we do not do well. For example, printing business cards and printing pamphlets and catalogs. And yes, we can do it. Yes, we could be a print management company. Are we the best at it? No, we're certainly not. And so in instances like that, we simply refer our customers to try and trusted partners of ourselves that we have internally so that they could look after them properly. We have stopped becoming the one-stop shop because we want to ensure that we deliver the top services and the top products for the things that we are good at. And things we are good at are promotional products and uniforms. Now, see, for myself, what have I stopped doing? I stopped taking random advice from people who have had no pedigree. I only take advice from people who have done it before in this industry, in any other industry. So I filter who I listen to. Subject matter experts only. So whether it be search engine optimization, whether it be marketing, maybe it's strategy, I only take advice from people who are tried and tested and are willing to have strong and powerful conversations with myself. The last and final point, and one that's quite powerful to me personally, is that I stopped looking at competitors locally. And I began to look at competitors internationally. I found with Australian competitors, they're very, very powerful. But when you look at our peers and counterparts in Europe and in America, and even in parts of Asia, there's so many things that we could learn from them. How they present their websites, how they run their processes, their procedures, their operations. The amount of information and data that we could learn from other sources outside of Australia has been epic. So those are, in summary, the 4 things that I focused on and what I've stopped doing. So for marketing, for staffing, for clients, for myself, these are the things that we stopped doing once we got big, and it's allowed us to provide incredible customer service. And I believe some of these lessons that I've just outlined can be applied to any or all industries in Australia or indeed around the world. Well, thank you for watching and thank you for listening to this episode of the Promo Playbook. Stay tuned for future episodes.